The alarm screamed through the metal halls of Kepler Station as Lieutenant Park Soyoung pressed her back against the cold wall. Her rifle felt heavy in her hands. Through the broken window, she could see the stars and the burning ships floating in space like tiny candles going out one by one. "All units, this is command," the voice crackled through her helmet radio. "Execute Order 847. No survivors. Repeat, no Zilani survivors." Soyoung closed her eyes for a moment. She knew what Order 847 meant. Kill everyone. Even the ones who were not fighting. Even the children. Down the hallway she could hear them crying. The Zilani civilians had been hiding in the medical bay since the fighting started 3 days ago. They had no weapons. They had no way to fight back. They were just scared families trying to stay alive. Her squad leader, Sergeant Kim Do-hyun, appeared around the corner. His face was hard behind his helmet visor. "Park, you heard the order. Let's finish this." "Sergeant, those are civilians in there," Soyoung said quietly. "Those are enemies," Do-hyun replied. "Command says they might be hiding spies or soldiers. We can't take chances." Soyoung looked through the medical bay door. She saw an old Zilani woman holding a small child. The child's arm was bandaged. They looked at her with big, frightened eyes. The woman said something in her own language that sounded like a prayer. "They're not soldiers," Soyoung whispered. "Orders are orders, Park. You took an oath." Yes, she had taken an oath. To protect Earth. To follow commands. To be a good soldier. But she had also promised herself something else a long time ago. She had promised to never become the kind of person who hurt innocent people. Her father had told her stories when she was young. Stories about old wars on Earth where people did terrible things because they were just following orders. He made her promise to always think for herself. To always choose what was right even when it was hard. "I can't do it, Sergeant," she said. Do-hyun's face got red with anger. "This is not a choice, Lieutenant. This is war." "Then I guess I'm not a very good soldier." Before Do-hyun could stop her, Soyoung pushed open the medical bay door. The Zilani inside jumped back in fear. There were 47 of them. Old people, parents, children. Some were hurt. All were scared. "I won't hurt you," she said, even though she knew they probably didn't understand her words. But they seemed to understand her tone. She put her rifle down on the floor and held up her empty hands. She turned on her radio to the emergency channel. "This is Lieutenant Park Soyoung. I need medical transport to Kepler Station, Section C, Medical Bay. I have 47 civilian casualties who need help." "Park, what are you doing?" Do-hyun shouted. "The right thing," she said. The next hour was crazy. Soyoung worked with the station's medical robots to help the hurt Zilani. She found food and water for the hungry ones. She even found some old blankets to keep them warm. The children stopped crying. The adults started to trust her a little bit. When the medical transport ships arrived, she helped load all 47 Zilani onto the ships. The old woman who had been holding the child touched Soyoung's hand and said something soft in Zilani. Soyoung didn't know the words, but she thought it meant, "Thank you." As the transport ships flew away to safety, Soyoung felt good for the first time in days. She had saved people. Real people with families and feelings and dreams. But then she saw the other ships flying away from Kepler Station. Enemy ships. Zilani military ships that had been hiding on the far side of the station. While she was helping the civilians, a small group of Zilani soldiers had escaped. They took important computer files with them. Files that had secret information about coalition battle plans. Do-hyun walked up to her with a sad look on his face. "Those ships got away because we were busy here, Park. Those files they took will help them fight us better. More of our people will die now." Soyoung watched the enemy ships disappear into space. She felt her stomach twist. Had she made the right choice? She saved 47 innocent people, but maybe her choice would cost the lives of her friends later. "Command is very angry," Do-hyun said quietly. "They're sending you back to Earth for a military trial. They say you're not fit to be a soldier." Soyoung nodded. She had known this would happen. "What will they do to me?" "I don't know. But Park, I want you to know something. My daughter is about the same age as that Zilani child you helped. If she was scared and hurt and far from home, I would want someone like you to help her." 3 days later, military police came to arrest Lieutenant Park Soyoung. As they put the metal cuffs on her hands, she looked out the window of the transport ship. Somewhere out there, 47 Zilani people were alive because she chose mercy over orders. She hoped it was worth it. The big metal room was cold and quiet. Lieutenant Park Soyoung sat in a small chair in the middle of the room, with her hands tied together with metal cuffs. Around her, 5 alien judges sat behind a tall curved desk that looked like a half circle. The judges came from different planets and looked very different from each other. Judge Kellex was from the water planet Aquos. His skin was blue and wet, and he had gills that opened and closed on his neck as he breathed. Judge Vrex came from a hot desert world. Her body looked like it was made of orange rocks and her eyes glowed like fire. The third judge, Zint, was very tall and thin with green skin that looked like tree bark. In front of the judges stood the prosecutor, Commander Thale from the ice planet Phrygus. His voice was cold like his home world when he spoke to the judges. Honored judges, we are here today because humans cannot control their feelings, Commander Thale said, pointing at Soyoung. This human soldier had clear orders. Kill all enemies. But she let her weak emotions make her choice instead of following commands. Soyoung's defense lawyer, Captain Moon Jae-min, was a human from Earth. He looked worried. Next to him sat Commander Lisa Torres, another human lawyer. They both looked like they were fighting a battle they could not win. Commander Thale walked around the room as he talked. Because Lieutenant Park chose feelings over duty, enemy soldiers escaped. They took secret battle plans with them. Now they will use those plans to kill more coalition soldiers. How many good soldiers will die because this human was too soft to do her job? Judge Kellex's gills moved faster as he spoke. Commander Thale, what do you think we should do about this problem? I think humans should not be allowed to lead soldiers anymore, Thale said. His voice got louder. They are too emotional. Too weak. They care more about enemy feelings than about winning wars. This is not the first time a human has made this mistake. He pressed a button, and a big screen showed pictures of other times when human soldiers had helped enemies instead of killing them. There was Captain Lee Min-soo, who had given medical help to enemy soldiers during the Battle of Centauri. There was Major Kim Yeji, who had shared food with hungry enemy prisoners on Titan 7. Look at all these examples, Thale said. Humans always choose mercy over victory. This makes them dangerous to our war effort. Judge Vrex's fire eyes got brighter. What punishment do you want for Lieutenant Park? Death, Thale said without any emotion. She must die as an example to other humans. And all humans must be removed from command positions in our military. They can be regular soldiers but they cannot lead. Soyoung felt cold inside when she heard this. She looked at her lawyers but they looked scared too. Captain Moon stood up to defend her. Judges, Lieutenant Park saved 47 innocent lives. Children, old people, families. Is saving innocent people really a crime? Judge Zint's bark-like skin made cracking sounds when he moved. Captain Moon, war is not about saving enemies. War is about winning. But they weren't enemies, Moon said, his voice getting stronger. They were civilians. People who were not fighting. They were the same species as our enemies, Judge Kellex said. His wet skin was getting wetter. That makes them dangerous. Commander Thale smiled, but it was not a nice smile. This is exactly what I mean, judges. Humans think with their hearts instead of their brains. They see a crying child and forget that child might grow up to be a soldier who kills them later. That's not fair, Commander Torres said, standing up. Humans have fought bravely in every coalition war. We have saved more planets than any other species. Yes, but at what cost? Judge Vrex asked. How many times have human emotions caused problems? How many times have humans let enemies escape because they felt sorry for them? The questions went on for hours. The alien judges asked why humans always tried to help their enemies. They asked why humans could not just follow orders without thinking about feelings. They asked if humans were really smart enough to be leaders in war. Captain Moon tried to answer every question. He talked about how human mercy had sometimes turned enemies into friends. He talked about how helping innocent people was the right thing to do. He talked about how humans had a good heart that made them better leaders. But Soyoung could see that the judges did not care about his words. They had already decided that humans were too weak for war. They thought mercy was a sickness that made humans dangerous to their own side. As the day went on, more alien officers came to speak against humans. They told stories about human soldiers who had disobeyed orders to help enemies. They showed reports about battles that were lost because humans chose mercy over victory. Each story made the judges more angry with humans. Each report made them more sure that humans should not be trusted with important decisions in war. When the day ended, Judge Kellex spoke to Soyoung. Lieutenant Park, do you understand what your actions have caused? Do you understand that your mercy might kill many good soldiers? Soyoung looked up at him with tired eyes. I understand that I saved 47 innocent people, sir. I cannot be sorry for that. The judges looked at each other with angry expressions. Soyoung knew her answer had made things worse for humans everywhere. That night, in her small prison cell, she wondered if Earth knew what was happening. She wondered if anyone would come to help her and defend humanity. She did not know that far away on Earth people were already making plans. Very dangerous plans. General Kim Jin-woo sat in his big chair at the top of the Terran Defense Council building in Seoul. Through his window he could see the city lights twinkling like stars on the ground. But he was not looking at the pretty view. He was reading reports that made his face get red with anger. "Sir, the news is spreading fast," said Colonel Park Hyok, his assistant. "People all over Earth are very upset about Lieutenant Park's trial." General Kim looked at the screens on his wall. Every news channel showed the same thing. Pictures of Lieutenant Park in chains. Videos of the alien judges saying humans were too emotional for war. Reports about how the coalition wanted to kill her and remove all humans from leadership positions. On the streets of every major city on Earth, people were marching. They carried signs that said, "Save our soldier," and "Mercy is not a crime." In New York, London, Tokyo, and Moscow, millions of people were angry. They wanted their governments to do something. "How many people are protesting?" General Kim asked. "Over 50 million people in just the first day, sir," Colonel Park replied. "The numbers are growing every hour." General Kim's phone kept ringing. The president of Earth wanted to know what the military was going to do. The leaders of other countries wanted to know if Earth would fight back against this insult. Even regular people were calling the Defense Council, asking why they were letting aliens put a human hero on trial for saving lives. "Sir, there's more," Colonel Park said, looking worried. "The coalition has sent us an official message. They say if we try to take Lieutenant Park away from the trial, they will consider it an act of war." General Kim stood up and walked to his window. Below him he could see crowds of people holding candles for Lieutenant Park. They believed she was a hero. They believed that saving innocent lives was always the right thing to do. "Get me Admiral Lee Sung-go," he said quietly. Admiral Lee arrived 30 minutes later. He was an old man with white hair and scars on his face from many battles. He had fought in the Mars War and the Titan Rebellion. He knew more about military strategy than anyone else on Earth. "Jin-woo, I've been watching the news," Admiral Lee said as he sat down. "This is bad. Very bad. They want to execute our soldier for showing mercy," General Kim said. "And they want to remove all humans from command positions because we care too much about innocent lives. The coalition thinks mercy is weakness," Admiral Lee said. "They don't understand that mercy is what makes us strong." General Kim turned around to face his old friend. "Sung-go, I need to ask you something very important. Do you remember the prisoners from the Mars War? The ones we keep in the deep cells under Antarctica?" Admiral Lee's face went very pale. "Jin-woo, you can't be thinking what I think you're thinking. The coalition wants to see what humans look like without mercy. They think our compassion makes us weak soldiers. Maybe it's time to show them what we really keep locked away. Those three are monsters, Jin-woo. We put them in those cells for good reasons. They did things during the Mars War that even we couldn't forgive." General Kim sat back down at his desk. "I know. But right now the coalition thinks all humans are like Lieutenant Park. They think we're all soft and emotional and weak. They don't know that we choose to be merciful. They don't know that we have to work hard every day to be good." He pressed a button on his desk. A secret file appeared on his screen. It showed 3 pictures of people in prison uniforms. Their eyes looked cold and empty like sharks. Colonel Lee Mi-ho, Major Han Jae-won, and Captain Yoon Tae-hyun. Admiral Lee read their names slowly. "The Butchers of Mars." "They asked what humans look like without mercy," General Kim said. "Let's show them." Admiral Lee was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "If we do this, there's no going back. Once the coalition sees what these 3 can do, they'll never look at humans the same way again." "Good," General Kim said. "Right now they see us as weak children who can't make hard choices. After this, they'll understand that we choose mercy because we know what the alternative looks like." The next morning, General Kim called a press conference. Reporters from all over Earth came to hear what he would say. The whole planet was watching. "The coalition has charged Lieutenant Park So-young with crimes for saving innocent lives," he said into the cameras. "They say humans are unfit to lead because we show mercy to non-combatants. They want to judge what kind of soldiers we are." He paused and looked directly into the main camera. "We are removing Lieutenant Park from this unfair trial. Instead, we are sending 3 other representatives to show the coalition what human military capability really looks like when mercy is not part of the equation." The reporters started shouting questions, but General Kim ignored them. He walked away from the podium without saying anything else. 2 hours later, a black transport ship left Earth's atmosphere. It had no markings and no identification numbers. Inside were 3 passengers who had not seen sunlight for 15 years. The ship's destination was Titan Base, where the Coalition Tribunal was waiting. General Kim watched the ship disappear into space from his office window. Colonel Park stood beside him. "Sir, are you sure this is the right thing to do?" Colonel Park asked. "No," General Kim said quietly. "But sometimes there is no right thing to do. Sometimes there are only terrible choices and you have to pick the least terrible one." The ship flew through the darkness toward a meeting that would change everything between humans and aliens forever. The black ship arrived at Titan Base 3 days later. It moved through space like a shadow, quiet and dark. The Coalition guards at the space station watched it come closer on their screens, but they could not tell what kind of ship it was or who was inside. Commander Thale, the alien prosecutor, was in the control room when the ship requested permission to dock. "This is an Earth transport with special passengers for the tribunal," came the voice from the ship's radio. "We were not expecting any more witnesses," Commander Thale said to the control officer. "Earth Command sent a message yesterday, sir," the control officer replied. "They said they were sending replacement representatives for Lieutenant Park." Commander Thale felt confused. "Replacement representatives? What does that mean?" The ship docked at Bay 7. 3 Coalition guards went to meet whoever was coming out. They expected to see more human lawyers or maybe some Earth military officers who would try to defend Lieutenant Park with more emotional speeches about mercy and kindness. Instead, they saw something that made their blood feel cold. 3 humans walked out of the ship, but they were different from any humans the guards had ever seen. They moved like hunting animals, smooth and dangerous. Their eyes looked empty, like broken windows. They wore simple black uniforms with no decorations, no medals, no signs of rank except for small name tags. The first man was tall and strong. His name tag said, Lee Miho. His face showed no emotion at all, like he was made of stone. Behind him walked a woman with short black hair and cold eyes. Her name tag said Han Jaiwan. The third person was a smaller man who smiled, but his smile made people feel scared instead of happy. His name tag said Yoon Tae-hyun. "Welcome to Titan Base," said Guard Captain Folks, a green-skinned alien from Verdania. "Are you here to help defend Lieutenant Park?" Colonel Lee Miho looked at the guard captain with empty eyes. "No. We are here to replace her." "Replace her? I don't understand." Major Han Jaiwan spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but sharp like a knife. "Earth received the Coalition's complaint about human military conduct. We are here to show the tribunal what human military conduct actually looks like." The guards looked at each other with worried faces. Something felt very wrong about these 3 humans. They were too quiet, too calm, too dangerous. Captain Yoon Tae-hyun's scary smile got bigger. "Don't worry. We won't hurt anyone here. We are just here to talk." The guards walked the 3 humans through the halls of Titan Base toward the tribunal room. Other people they passed in the hallway stopped to stare. These humans felt different. Wrong somehow. Like wolves pretending to be dogs. When they reached the tribunal room, Commander Thale was waiting with the alien judges. Judge Kellix, Judge Vrex, and Judge Zint looked up as the 3 humans entered. "Who are these people?" Judge Kellix asked, his gills moving fast with nervousness. Colonel Lee Miho stepped forward. "I am Colonel Lee Miho, Terran Defense Corps. This is Major Han Jaiwan and Captain Yoon Tae-hyun. We are here to represent Earth's position on the charges against Lieutenant Park Soyoung." "Where are her lawyers?" Judge Vrex asked, her fire eyes getting brighter. "Earth has decided that lawyers are not needed for this discussion," Major Han Jaiwan said. "The Coalition wanted to understand human military capability. We are here to provide that understanding." Judge Zint's bark-like skin made nervous cracking sounds. "What are your qualifications to speak for Earth?" Captain Yoon Tae-hyun's smile became even more frightening. "We are experts in human warfare without the limitations of mercy, conscience, or moral restrictions." Commander Thale suddenly felt very uncomfortable. "What do you mean by that?" "Lieutenant Park was charged with being too merciful," Colonel Lee Miho said. "The Coalition believes this makes humans unfit for military leadership. We are here to show you what humans look like when mercy is removed from the equation." The alien judges looked at each other with growing alarm. They were starting to understand that these were not normal human soldiers. "Where did you serve?" Judge Kellix asked. "Mars," all 3 humans said at the same time. The room became very quiet. Everyone in the Coalition military knew about Mars. It was the planet where the worst fighting had happened during the human civil war 15 years ago. Terrible things had been done there. Things so bad that Earth itself had put some of its own soldiers in prison forever. "You were on Mars during the..." Judge Vrex could not finish her sentence. "During the cleansing operations, yes," Major Han Jaiwan said calmly. We were very effective. Commander Thale felt sick to his stomach. He was beginning to realize what Earth had done. They had not sent lawyers or diplomats or politicians to defend Lieutenant Park. They had sent the monsters from Mars. The humans that even other humans were afraid of. Why are you here? Judge Zint asked in a shaky voice. Colonel Lee Miho looked at each judge slowly. You wanted to judge human military conduct. You wanted to see what we are capable of. Lieutenant Park showed you human mercy. We are here to show you human war without mercy. Captain Yoon Tae-hyun's terrible smile never left his face. We thought you should understand your options. The tribunal room felt colder now. The three humans from Mars stood in front of the curved judge's desk like statues. They did not move. They did not blink very much. They just waited. Judge Kellix was the first to speak. His gills were moving very fast. You say you want to show us human military conduct. What exactly do you mean? Colonel Lee Miho pressed a button on a small device he carried. The big screen behind him lit up with a map of Mars. During the Mars operation we were given a simple mission. And the rebellion. No restrictions. No restrictions? Commander Thale asked. He was starting to feel very afraid. No rules about civilians. No rules about prisoners. No rules about how much damage we could cause, Major Han Jaiwan said in her quiet, sharp voice. The coalition today complains that Lieutenant Park was too merciful. Our commanders 15 years ago complained that we were not merciful enough. The map on the screen changed to show pictures of Martian cities before the war. They looked beautiful with tall buildings and green parks and happy people walking in the streets. Captain Yoon Tae-hyun smiled his terrible smile. Would you like to see what those cities looked like when we finished our job? No. Judge Vreck said quickly. Her fire eyes were getting dim with fear. We don't need to see pictures. Oh, but I think you do, Colonel Lee Miho said. The coalition wants to judge human military effectiveness. How can you judge what you refuse to see? The screen changed again. Now it showed the same cities but they were gone. Just empty ground with strange glass formations where the buildings used to be. Orbital bombardment with plasma charges, Major Han Jaiwan explained like she was teaching a class. We heated the sand to over 3,000 degrees. It turned everything into glass. Very clean. Very complete. Judge Zint's bark-like skin was making lots of cracking noises. How many people lived in those cities? Before or after? Captain Yoon Tae-hyun asked and his smile got even bigger. This is enough, Commander Thale said, standing up. We don't need to hear more. But we haven't told you about the biological weapons yet, Colonel Lee Miho said calmly. Or the psychological operations. Or the genetic modification programs. The alien judges looked at each other with horror in their eyes. They were beginning to understand what Earth had sent them. These were not soldiers. These were destroyers of worlds. The coalition thinks Lieutenant Park's mercy was a weakness, Major Han Jaiwan continued. But mercy was the only thing that kept us from using our full capabilities against your enemies. When humans fight without mercy, we don't just win battles. We erase the possibility that battles will ever happen again. Judge Kellix's wet skin was getting wetter. What do you mean? Captain Yoon Tae-hyun walked closer to the judge's desk. We mean that if Lieutenant Park had followed your ideas about proper military conduct, there would be no more Zilani anywhere in the galaxy. Not just the soldiers. Not just the civilians on that station. All of them. Every planet. Every ship. Every child. Gone forever. That's impossible, Judge Vreck said, but her voice was shaking. Is it? Colonel Lee Miho asked. He pressed another button. The screen showed star charts with red marks on many solar systems. These are Zilani colony worlds. 47 planets with a total population of 12 billion. Our current Earth fleet could sterilize all of them in 6 months. You wouldn't, Judge Zint whispered. We have before, Major Han Jaiwan said simply. Mars had 800 million people when we started our operation. When we finished it had 0. We didn't leave anyone alive to surrender. The room was so quiet that everyone could hear the air recycling system humming. Commander Thale felt like he was going to be sick. The alien judges looked like they wanted to run away. Why are you telling us this? Judge Kellix asked in a small voice. Colonel Lee Miho looked at him with empty eyes. Because you wanted to execute Lieutenant Park for showing mercy. You wanted to remove all humans from leadership positions because we care about innocent lives. We thought you should understand what humans look like when we don't care. Captain Yoon Tae-hyun's smile never went away. Lieutenant Park saved 47 Zilani civilians. We killed 800 million Martian civilians. Which kind of human soldier would you prefer to have as allies? The coalition has a choice, Major Han Jaiwan said. You can have humans like Lieutenant Park who fight with honor and save innocent lives. Or you can have humans like us, who fight without limits and leave nothing alive behind us. Judge Vrex's fire eyes were very dim now. What happened to you on Mars? How did you become like this? We followed orders, Colonel Lee Miho said. Just like you wanted Lieutenant Park to do. We didn't let mercy get in the way of military objectives. We were very good soldiers by your definition. And look what it made us, Captain Yoon Tae-hyun added, his terrible smile finally disappearing. Look what we became when we stopped caring about right and wrong. Commander Thale suddenly understood what Earth had done. They had sent the coalition their worst monsters to show them why they needed their best angels. The charges against Lieutenant Park, Judge Kellogg said quietly. We withdraw them. All charges, Judge Vrex agreed quickly. And the proposal to restrict human command positions? Major Han Jaiwan asked. Rejected, all three judges said together. As the three humans from Mars were led away, Judge Zint spoke one last time. Please tell Earth we understand now. We want more soldiers like Lieutenant Park. Not fewer. The black ship left Titan base the next day, carrying its dangerous passengers back to their prison cells on Earth. Lieutenant Park was released and returned to duty with a medal for heroic conduct. The coalition never questioned human mercy again.